Teacher Maureen. I'll be taking you through the preparation of a vanilla cream cake. And so I'll take you through the ingredients that you require to prepare the cake. First of all, we have our flour. We have to measure our flour and we make sure it is of quality and it is actually the right quantity that we require. We need sugar to prepare our cake. And then we need, of course, margarine that will be used to enrich our cake as we prepare. Vanilla essence is here. We need it to actually sweeten our cake and also to add flavor. Then baking powder, it's our raising agent that we're going to use in the preparation of the cake. Then finally, we have our eggs. We need to use eggs. It's also a raising agent. It will be used to enrich our cake and even add flavor to it. So all these ingredients are required for the preparation of the cake. Now we have some equipment that we need. Our weighing scale is very important for measuring the quantities so that you get the right results that you need. We have our baking tin, which is here. We will use our baking tin, and it's a smaller baking tin for making a half kg cake. That's what we're preparing. Pastry brush for actually greasing the cake tin, and also the grease-proof peppers. We need them. The spoon actually for mixing the flour and the margarine and the sugar together. Then we need a pair of scissors for trimming the grease-proof pepper so that we line our tin. And then we have our mixing basins, which we are supposed to use when we're preparing the cake. We have a hand mixer for beating up our eggs so that it can actually froth and give us the right quantity that we need for the cake. The last equipment is our oven. We'll use our oven for baking our cake. I'll start off. First of all, we have to carry out the previous preparation tasks, of which we need to assemble the equipment together and then make sure that the ingredients are around and we measure them. So we prepare the baking tin, and for us to prepare the baking tin, we have to make sure we have the grease-proof pepper, then we line our tin. First of all, depending on the shape of your tin, it could be round or it could be rectangle. Depending on the shape, you cut according to the shape of the tin. We place it on the grease-proof pepper. In this step, because our grease-proof pepper is over, so we are using the full scraps, but it's still okay because they are still allowed to be used in case we don't have the grease-proof pepper. You have to put it on the paper, then we sketch it. We just trace it round so that it gives you the lineup on how you will cut that paper. Then from there, you can still use a pen, but if you can be able to see clearly, you cut the paper. Make sure you cut it very thinly so that it only occupies the lower part of the baking tin. We cut it round because our tin is actually round in shape. There we go. From there, I'll also cut the one for the sides according to the height of our tin. Why do we do the greasing of the tin? Because we don't want our cake to stick on the tin while doing what? While baking, because it has to come out in a very easier way. Then we grease the tin so that we use the margarine for greasing. Margarine for greasing. Grease the tin. While greasing the tin, make sure the margarine spreads all over so that our grease-proof pepper can be able to stick with ease. You apply it evenly and make sure the pastry margarine is enough to cover all the areas of the tin. After greasing the tin, we now put the grease-proof pepper at the bottom. And make sure it clings onto the walls so that our cake comes up the same shape like for the tin. You do the same on the sides. You do the same on the sides as you move round, because that's our cake should come out round. Still remaining a smaller portion, you still cut the pepper. You estimate the size and just trim it. Then we finish up on the lining of the tin. You can be able to see our tin is well lined, so it's ready for the cake. Okay, now this is the quantities that we are using. We have 150 grams of margarine. We'll have to put it on the mixing basin. 150 grams of margarine. At the same time, we have 150 grams of what? Sugar. We mix it together because we said this is what we call a creamed cake. Okay. Give me some water. Okay. Then that is our mixture. We have it there. From there, we're going to prepare. We start creaming, and we need to use a wooden spoon to do what? The creaming process. As we start creaming, you have to make sure that your eggs are ready, available. Prepare the eggs. And when you're preparing the eggs, you make sure you break them one by one, because if you break all of them in that container, one of them may be bad, and so you spoil everything. So you break one by one as you add. So we break it onto the container. That is one. How many eggs do we need? We require only 3 eggs. That is it. Put aside for the remaining ones. So our eggs are okay. As you see, they are ready for use. Then what we do, I'll start off with the these ones. We can expose them off. This is our flour, this is our margarine and sugar, we have our egg. So what we're going to do is to add the baking powder into the flour. That is 1.5 teaspoons. And there we mix up and sieve it. Give me another basin. We're going to sieve our flour. We are using what we call creaming method. That is why we are using the wooden spoon. You do the creaming very fast, and the faster you move, the better. You have to use a kitchen cloth, turn it into a what? A pad, and then we underline it so that our basin does not keep on moving or disturbing the surface. So you have to give yourself an easier time when you are creaming. The faster you move, the better for you. You have to make sure you mix into a creamy white texture. You have to do it very fast. And you have to move anti-clockwise. Make sure you move anti-clockwise when you are mixing. Now, while our eggs are here, we have to make sure we whisk them. We'll use the machine so that it works out faster for us. So So we have our sieve here, the basin, with the basin. We sieve our flour. The reason as to why we sieve our flour during cake making is to incorporate air into the flour. And so we also have to sieve so that we remove unwanted parts and also to remove lumps because it has been on the shelf for long. So when you're sieving, you can still sieve it like that or still just hit the sieve slowly as the flour goes through. You can still sieve. If this one works very fast for you, that is still fine as long as your hands are clean. When you're sieving flour, make sure you sieve it together with the baking powder because it facilitates the distribution of the baking powder into the mixture. There we go. Our flour is ready. Now it's time to start adding the egg as we continue creaming. So you'll add the egg a little at a time as we continue creaming. A little at a time as we continue creaming. Remember to pad it up. Work on a padded surface so that your basin continues to be stable. Continue creaming. Now we're going to use vanilla, and of course vanilla we will add it into the liquid that you're going to use to adjust the consistency of our cake. So you add, almost done. Remember to continue creaming anti-clockwise, maintaining the same direction. There we are. Now, when we are adjusting the consistency, we will use liquid. It may be milk or water. In this case, we're going to use water to adjust our consistency so that our cake is at the right consistency to be baked. So we use water. And when we are using vanilla essence, we mix, because it's a liquid flavoring, we mix it to the liquid ingredients. Either you can add it to the egg, or you do what? You add it to the liquid or the milk or water. There we'll take 1 teaspoon, put it into the liquid. We'll be using it to adjust the consistency. So from this point, we're going to fold in the flour slowly with a spoon, with our spoon. Okay. We have to add the flour. As we fold in. Why are we folding in? Is to incorporate air. Yeah, and the same air will be used to bake our cake. Continue to add a little at a time. As you do the mixing, make sure you fold in very carefully. We will add the remaining one. Then we fold finally. At this level, we are able to add in the what? The liquid, so that we adjust our consistency. The liquid together with the flavoring. Yes. Now, where we have reached, our cake is almost being baked. But now we have to prepare our oven so that it can heat up as we finalize. So I'll preheat the oven. We'll check here. For us to preheat our oven, first of all, you have to switch on the main switch, which it is at the back here. Make sure you turn it on. Once you turn it on, it will indicate that there is power. Okay. Now we are using the upper compartment to do what? To bake our cake. You'll have to switch on. Remember, the knobs are 2 for the upper element and the lower element, of which it's showing you power and light. The use of the light is to help you to see if your cake is baking well, instead of keeping on opening and closing the door. It's disturbing the cake. But now for the power button, you just switch it on and leave it to come back to the boiling point that the temperatures that you need to bake. Now, the knob is at 0. I'll pull it all the way to 150 degrees Celsius. That's where we shall be baking our cake. Also, on the lower knob, I'll put it to 150 degrees Celsius. Then from there, I switch the power button. Already the oven is doing what? Is heating up. But at the moment, it's not showing us 0 because these are the environment, the temperatures of the environment. So it will peak from there. With the time, you'll find that it is reaching 150 degrees Celsius. So once it reaches 150 degrees Celsius, it will switch itself off. The green light will switch off. Then we shall have the off button on. So that is how it will be coordinating as it bakes. So it will stabilize at 150 degrees Celsius. So we have preheated our oven just before we bake because we have to save on fuel. But if you find that you're preheating the oven too early, you will waste a lot of fuel because you need time to prepare your cake. Okay, let's wind up as we wait for the oven to catch up with the temperatures. you are folding in. We said you add enough liquid so that the mixture is sufficient enough. You keep on folding in. Actually, folding in is a technique that you have to use in bakery. As you are finishing up, you just have to make sure you remind yourself if you have forgotten anything so that you can solve it before you start your baking. At this point, we have finished our procedure for the folding in. Now we put our mixture into the baking tin. We put it on the side there. These containers, now we are through with them, we clear them away so that we create space when we are finishing up. So we'll pour our mixture here and then we levelize it well. We have to use a spoon. So we pour the mixture. And you have to make sure that it's a dropping consistency, which is not very hard, so that our cake comes out well. The remaining mixture, you make sure you remove it carefully with a smaller spoon so that you don't leave anything to waste. Even on the basin, make sure you scrap it off. You can still use a scraper if you have it, or a small spoon. It's well to do. You put all the mixture on the tin. After finishing up, you levelize our cake. Make sure you levelize the cake. Why am I pulling it to the sides? Because as the cake cooks, it tends to come to the center. So you levelize it so that as it cooks, it actually comes up uniformly. It doesn't heap in one place. At this point, we're going to bake our cake for 45 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius. So at this point, we are supposed to take our cake to the oven. It will bake for 45 minutes. Then when it comes out, we'll be able to cool it on a cooling rack. Then we turn it and do the finishing as we serve as a what? As a dessert. We'll be serving our cake for a dessert after the main meal. I don't know if you have questions. Anybody who has a question can be able to ask before we bake the cake. We're waiting for the temperatures to come up. It's almost there. Any question concerning this? Then once we have finished, we have to do what? We make sure we do the clearing. We do the clearing, everything. We take it to the washups and clear up the working surface, because we need to do another meal from here. Maybe preparation of ugali or vegetables, we have to use the same surface. So clearing up is very important. Any question from the procedure, the mixing, the quantities? So we'll be observing our cake because our oven doesn't have a timer. We'll be timing it ourselves. After 45 minutes, we'll be able to get it from the oven and use it for our dessert. And of course, we'll accompany it with a what? A sauce, vanilla sauce to serve, because our cake is what? Vanilla cake. Yes. So after that, we'll take it to the oven as the temperatures are picking up. When you put in your cake in the oven, you make sure that the left hand is to hold the dough and the right hand is to place the what? The cake. You don't have to open the dough then you go and bring the cake, because actually it's losing the temperatures that it has already what? Accumulated. So what you do, you just open it up, but don't open completely. You just open slightly so that we don't lose the temperatures for the oven. So you just open and put it right there, then you close. After that, we'll be timing it. After 45 minutes, we'll be able to remove our cake from the oven. Any question up to there? We okay? So now we can clear up. We can clear up the work surface as we wait for our cake to be ready. At this moment, our cake is done. So we have to remove it. You open the oven. Don't open it so wide, because if any other cake is still baking, then the temperatures will come down. Then we remove the cake. We have to make sure we put it on a wire rack so that it can be able to cool. After cooling, then we can actually, a cake is usually very delicate when it's very hot. So if you happen to remove it from the tin, it breaks. So you have to give it time to do what? To cool. And you have to put it on a raised surface, possibly on a wire rack, so that the air can equally circulate. So we remove our cake, we turn it upside down, we remove the tin, put it aside, and then we remove the greaseproof paper. That one we do not need it now. Then we remove the top. We can see our cake is ready. Our cake is ready. Now, what we do, we'll be finishing it up, and we wanted to finish up with our cream. That is the whipping cream. We serve it as a dessert, but also we have an option of the custard sauce, which we can accompany with. So we trim our cake. Just trim a little bit. Why am I trimming? So that it can be able to have a stronger base when it is on the flat surface before we serve. Or if we are supposed to do the finishing, just trim a little bit. That is it. From there, we turn it upside down. It has to actually balance before we put it on the flat surface for the finishing. Now, I have the nozzle because we'll be finishing it up. The winding up with the whipping cream. I'll whip the cream shortly, then I finish with it. And for the finishing, I needed this is what you call a bread knife. And also I have the palette knife. The palette knife, saying yes, we have the palette knife for the finishing. We'll finish it very fast. Then I have the whipping cream. You can either use the Kent Boringer, the powder, or we use the cream, the milk. That is non-dairy. We whip the cream. And actually make sure it is chilled so that it can set very fast. After that, we connect our hand mixer. Make sure it's safe for you to use. We underline the surface. I told you have to make sure it's padded so that it doesn't disturb you as you're working. Then you use the mixer. Just work it very fast. You have to do it with great speed so that it can be able to set. And you will see the changes because it will start hardening and eventually it will set. You can see it's already changing, becoming a bit harder. After a very short time, it will have already set. It will be ready for use. I think you are able to observe it's changing. Yeah. Coming up, you have to make sure it's set. It's almost there. Also possible to twist the mixing bowl so that you mix it equally. finishing up. Now it has to be done with a great speed so that we wind up. There we are. Switch off. You can see it has set. Okay, we put our mixer aside. Then we are ready to use our whipping cream. So I'll cut the cake. I want to cut it at the center so that you can be able even to see the results and the texture of our cake. You cut it very carefully so that it doesn't spoil there. Now that's the result of our cake. It has to be very spongy and it should actually cook inside and evenly done. From there, I'll put it on the right. We will wipe off this. I'm done with the mixing bowl. Then we can wipe off. I'll do it here because we are serving it for lunch. Now you have to put some little cream just at the bottom. You can see the cream has set. Then we put our cake on top of the cream. Make another layer of the same cream. You spread it evenly so that your cake can balance well. From there, you put the second layer and arrange it well. Make sure it's well balancing. Then you can put the top in. Give me a spoon so that you can be able to, the larger one, at least a bigger spoon. So you spread the cream. Actually, if you are serving your cake with cream, there is no need to accompany it with any sauce, because the cream already moistens the cake. So then you spread also on the sides. You spread on the sides. Make sure it's evenly done. You use your palette knife well. The finger should be pointing. And you make sure it is straight. It should not slant, so that you have good results. Yeah. Put enough cream to cover the cake so that it's not seen. Actually, we should actually see the cream, not the cake itself. Do it as you move around to get good results. I'm almost finishing up. And if you have questions still, you can ask so that you can explain. And as you're moving, make sure your knife is moving anti-clockwise as the cake is turning clockwise. Yeah. Make sure on the sides it's well distributed. And this size of cake can serve approximately 10 to 12 guests if it is well divided. There we go. Then we can also levelize on the sides. That's the final finishing. And from there, we levelize the top. After doing that, now we take the serviette, wipe on the sides before we finish up on the top. If the cake belongs to somebody, maybe it's a celebration cake, that's when we can write a message. But for ours, we're just going to do the borderlines and that will be over. Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure your piping bag is clean. Now, when you fill in your piping bag, this is how you have to hold it. Remember, it has the nozzle that you use to decorate. You hold it with your 2 hands, hold it over on your hand so that you can be able to fill it with ease and you're not spreading the cream over. So you make sure you put the cream inside the bag. Put it inside the bag. And if you want to do the borderline with color, you can still put color, then you decorate. In this case, we just want to do our cake white, so that's the result that we want to achieve. Finishing up there, then you fold it back, pull it up, and then you press towards the end. Now, these 2 fingers are supposed to control this cream from coming back, coming out of the piping bag backwards. Then the 3 fingers are supposed to control the what? The pressure from the piping bag. And then your left hand is to control direction. So that's how I'll be moving. Make sure you just make a very good decoration. When you're making the decoration, you move, keep on turning it so that it can give you the best results. For better presentation also. Make sure your pressure is constant so that you do something uniform. There we go. I'll do the same on the lower side, but on the lower side we make them smaller. Such cakes, we serve them for desserts. At the same time, we can present them for functions. Yeah, you can present them for functions, birthday functions, or even graduations. Okay. Give me the color of the shape. I don't know if any one of us has a question up to there. This cake is ready for serving and we can still cut and present it for service. I think we can try cut a piece so that you can see how it comes out. Just cut a piece so that we see how it comes out. We have our color here. I just want to finish up, then we can be able to wind it up. As I had said, if you are interested in using color, you can still put. That is our golden yellow. If you want to write something because it has to be seen, then you have to make sure you use what? The color. Yes. All right. Okay. Hold your bag, insert the nozzle. I've changed my nozzle because now I'm writing. I'm not doing the border lines. As I wind up, finally you wipe it off so that you don't dirty your cake. I'll fill the cake the way I'd instructed you. Fold the paper bag, put the cream. Put the cream. That's enough. You don't make so much because it's only writing. So when it comes to writing, you can do any decoration on top. You can add some color so that it's not only white. Then we can write something on top. What do we write? We write DMI. There we go. Is there any question with the cake? I think we are done. We can cut and see how it is. All right. So that even us, we can be able to taste. Yeah, we can cut. And now when we're cutting the cake, we have to use what? The bread knife. We don't use the other knife for cutting meat because this knife is designed to cut cake so that it can give you good results. Okay, this one we can empty it so that we can use this for testing our cake. There we are. So we can cut, at least we test a piece. You can have a piece. And if you have questions, you can still ask. Have a piece. Have a piece. And you also tell us how the results are. All right. Okay. Do you have any questions after testing the cake? Because next time you'll be the ones to do it. You have questions? To the whipping cream. Oh, well, the whipping cream has just enough sugar, and many people these days, they don't need too much sugar. And this one currently is the one being used so much because it doesn't have a lot of sugar. Many people don't want too much sugar. So it's actually the best. But if a customer requests that you add, please add because it's good to satisfy the desires of the guest. So if they have decided that you add, please add. But it's not advisable because actually this whipping cream just have enough sugar for the guest. Any other question? You don't have questions. I think that's all. Then after that, we say, once you finish, you do what? Clearing. We clear the mixing bowl, everything. And this one, if you want to remove it, please don't have to pull them out. You only press here and just release them. So you press and release them to the container where you want to do what? To clean it from. So any color you can use whichever color that you want. Either a yellow, you can use blue depending on the function, the agenda of the day. But for these other ones, you're free to do what? To use whichever color that you need. If you want it to come out white, still you are allowed. Okay. And for the decoration, you can still use the Kent Bollinger. This is another product from the market. It's still allowed. You can use that. Or you go for the whipping cream, the milk powder, or the milk itself. This is usually non-dairy. Right? It is a coconut milk. It's coconut milk. It's non-dairy. Okay. That's all. Thank you so much.